Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? Once again, I'm Ned from Nez Tech Bits, your hillbilly tech-based boy. Don't worry, ma'am, I am from the potter's ground, and I am from the internet. And today, I want to tell you what a tech oligarchy is, why it's important we know what it is, and why we should just watch and be aware. Within any society, we generally get a pyramid of people. At the bottom, you get the proletariats, in the middle, you get the bourgeoisie, and at the top, you get the royalty. These were particularly the words given to them during the revolution within, I think it was the Russian Revolution. Usually this stuff happens because the people at the top have way too much and they don't give two craps about the people at the bottom. And that's why they say, let them eat cake. Marie Antoinette said, let them eat cake. Of course, the problem was everyone was hungry. Nobody had any of that food. So she's like, let them eat cake. If they don't have bread, let them eat cake. The thing was, if they didn't have bread, why were they going to have cake, Mary? So, one thing that we got going on is the classes are affecting one another as technology takes away society from us. Society originally was its own thing, and it was separate from the internet. And then the internet, actually, I'm going to say the internet was here, society was here, and it crashed into the internet, and it made social media. Ugh, guys, get your social media out of my tech, please. In my opinion, tech was here for two reasons: pirating and family friendly. I can't say those words, right? But legitimately, we can all agree that those were two big things that definitely drove the computer industry, that drove the entire freaking tech industry. There's nuances in life we don't like to talk about, like world wars really took technology and threw them way out there. Evil stuff gives us their good things come from bad things, like flowers coming from manure, which is ultimately poo and often dead stuff, right? So the oligarchy are the people who have the money, who are in the middle, the bourgeoisie. The bourgeoisie are generally the only people that the rich will listen to, and the bourgeoisie control the proletariats. Generally, most of us are a proletariat. If you don't own more than two houses, yeah, if you own one house and you can't afford anything else, you're a proletariat. And I don't mean a cottage. You don't have a cottage. You don't have anything else. You're working. You're a proletariat. You're one of the individuals at the bottom. And this happens in, well, geez, on the internet. Okay, here are the czars. You got Mark Zuckerberg, you got Elon Musk, and you got ByteDance, the CPP, the Communist People's Party, which is a big issue, a giant issue. Now, Chinese people are lovely. There's so much awesome stuff about the culture, the religion, the history. You gotta know about the history of China. Just topically, to understand world politics, you have got to know about the Opium Wars, at least in order for you to understand the trauma that one group put upon another group. And hell, they even put it upon their own group as Asians. The Japanese used it against the Chinese. It breaks my heart even to think about this. The colonialist powers use it against the Chinese, and it's because they wanted to get into China for their tea, and China was like, no, thank you. No, you guys can do your thing, but colonize. I don't like saying these words. I'm not this type of person. I hate people that use these words too much. But legitimately, they came in and they were like, "Here's all your opium. Give us tea." Now it wasn't like that. Ultimately, they forced it. They definitely forced it. If that story was switched into a man woman man man woman woman story, it would have been clearly an abusive relationship. And that is important because the CCP, ByteDance, is the ones that are pulling the strings over on TikTok. And they are absolutely pulling strings. You can't see it if you're on TikTok because odds are it's your strings being pulled. Now, I come from Project Chanology. I feel a little bit bad right now. I don't have my Guy Fawkes mask. Usually I keep it right next to me because I like to rub it in people's faces that I'm one of the few people who have actually gone out to a protest with a mask on. And as someone who's been to one of these protests, let me tell you, you know what's scarier than coming to a protest with your mask on? Coming to a protest with your mask on and then taking your mask off. That terrifies people that are looking at you and wondering who you are and what you're about. Like, yeah, they have your information, but nothing terrifies the things in the dark more than the light. I swear to God. Anyways, so the CCP, the Chinese People's Party, once again, not the Chinese people. The Chinese people are beautiful. I love the Chinese people. I don't like the CCP. They can still remember, there are still people within the CCP that can still remember the Great Leap Forward, which was basically an individual named Mao was like, okay, screw you all, we're communists. All is we're going to take all your freaking land and we're going to give it to the proletariat and we're going to tell the proletariat this is how you do it. You got to kill all the sparrows. That was a bad idea. The sparrows take our grain and you got to kill the sparrows. The sparrows ate the locusts. So anyways, they got good rice for 2 years, but then on the third year they ran out of food. All the farmers were starved to freaking death while the people in the cities were sent all the food that was being made. Now, when I say being starved to death, I am not mince. I'm not. I am absolutely not lying about that. Now, most people don't know what it's like to be cold and hungry, and if you've ever legitimately been there, there's just some hells that. Okay, so for anyone who there's some hells you don't know. I can't use the N word because I don't know that hell. I can't tell my friends who were born without one parent or the other what how to get on without having a mom or a dad. I did that once and I regret it. I'm sorry, man, if you're watching, you know who you are, and I've apologized already. I'm sorry, I'm gonna skip tracks. Anyways, ultimately, the Chinese people they started eating anything that they could because the alternative was death. Yeah, that's right. That's right. You don't know what it's like and what you will do for things until you are there, until you are cold, hungry, or I guess if you're addicted to like a hard chemical substance. I've never been there, but I my place has been broken into by someone I was feeding and giving weed to help me. He was having problems with his family and whatnot. He kicked my frickin' door in, stole all any like valuable assets you could pawn, right? But the other two, I went on a field trip once. I was not wearing the right stuff. It was to the international plow match, and man, it was in Fergus. I freaking froze. I froze, and it was like one of the first times I ever stole anything just to keep warm. And I understand that now. I can't remember when. I think it was camping when. Okay, so it's one thing not to have food if you're depressed, because usually you don't move around. But if you need to keep going, objectively keep going, and you're not like depressed and you want to keep going, and your brain is like, we need food. Like it hurts. You don't know what you will do to get warm or to get food if you're cold and hungry. It's almost as if you get taken over by like hangry. You get obsessed with a demon, possessed by a demon, and like let's say demons aren't actually real, but if things get freaking bad enough for you, you will start acting like in a way that no one's ever seen you act, and like in a way that you're pretty. Once you get food, you're going to hope nobody ever remembers you act like that. And geez, in a way to say that that is a demon. So there are demons in China that we can't even freaking comprehend. Okay, so now how is this app attached to the CCP? You might say. Now here's why. In China, if you are if you are a business in China, you are part of the Secret Service. That's it. China comes in and they're like, "Hey, we want to see your shit." Everyone has to say okay. And you know how in America bad things can happen to people who don't play ball? In China, it's a different scene altogether. I'm just going to leave it at that. Torture is not allowed in the US government, though they have waterboarding and all that stuff. Now, but China, guys, they can do what they want. China can do what they want. And the thing is, they're doing what they want to our children on these TikTok apps. But not just that, but they're destroying relationships on these TikTok apps. There are absolutely evil people out there, women included, that will. All they need is a little damn push in the right direction, and they will, like, legitimately. I'm blown away by I'm blown away by some of the things that I've heard women let other women off with. I'm just freaking blown away. Sorry, I shouldn't get too into that. But then, anyways, we have Elon Musk up next, right? He's got Twitter, X. Why does anybody care about Twitter or X? I'm so disappointed with you. Anyone not watching that likes Twitter or X, I'm disappointed with you. As someone who doesn't like human social society, I love humanity, just not the social bit. As someone who has watched society coming into my internet, and I'm like, no, stay away. This isn't for normal people. And you guys are crashing into the internet and then doing really dumb things like letting Biden get away with letting Biden get away with revealing, that he wasn't going to be running again without talking to anyone and just posting it on Twitter. Guys, that's very unprofessional. That is so unprofessional. Guys, we have to have a conversation about that. That was so unprofessional. We're not having that conversation now, but to my progressive friends, we're going to have that conversation in private later on. That was, guys, can we get our heads out of the fucking internet? So then you got Mark Zuckerberg, who is like me. Oh, he's more like me than he is like, well, shoot, maybe not. I mean, he did kind of come into money. He wasn't, what was it? He was an Ivy League. He stole an idea from an Ivy League person and got information and manipulated it. He's a big brain. He's a big brain. He's a big brain that figured out an algorithm. So he's more like me than any of these people out there. He's strange. He's different. He's getting into his masculine energy, and those are the three people that are fighting for our minds. Those are the kingpins. Those are the czars. Elon Musk came from South Africa, and that is a very important thing. Now, let's. I'm LGBTQ. We're all pink on the inside. I'm bisexual. I'm part of the LGBTQ and I was raised not to be racist. The right way. To be respectful. Like, I legitimately think you could say Ma and Pa Kent raised me as far as not being racist. Um, but objectively, now here's the thing. Everyone's interested in being social and being cool and having money, and very few people are exclusively interested in watching shit just to figure out what the hell's going on. Right? Isn't that what autists do? I think I'm a little bit autistic. And for the longest time, I've just been watching the world to try to find a 0 point, to try to find a place to start and take off from there. Not just from one point, not just from one media place. Like, I also came from a place where I know how to be objective, and I know if I have drunk the Kool-Aid. I went from Roman Catholic to Baptist to pagan to Satanist to demonology, and like in all of them, in all of these places, you get your stupid people that think they know what the other one's doing, and they just really freaking don't. But what I'm saying is, I've gone to all of these places and seen everyone's idea. I know what Apple people think about Android. I know what Android people think about Apple. But if you can sit in the middle and be a bit of a red mage with all of this stuff and watch, you notice some really messed up patterns. You notice some really messed up patterns, like with TikTok. TikTok is dangerous for the West because it is an opiate for the masses generally. I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't blame China for what they're doing, but since TikTok is one of the reasons that we have such a big issue these days with people in the West not knowing who they are and wanting to flip the script on society and training people so well to reevaluate everything that's happened to them in the past and shine it on a new light. Like not so much right now. Right now, they're kind of cool. They're kind of cool. TikTok is backing off of that stuff actually quite a bit, and they are censoring far left ideas at this moment from what we're seeing. Like for example, there's a lot of people that say, oh, "This is funny. This is funny." People on people saying TikTok is narcissistic because they took something from you and gave it back just because they could. That is so funny. That is so funny because they're the ones that set up the whole narcissism thing. You see, the Me Too movement put the football down very gently, and that Me Too movement was a Twitter thing. And TikTok came and they kicked that ball. Whoa! Whoa! Where did it go? And so many people use that as leverage to change us in our everyday lives, exclusively from these two apps. And because of this, these things have affected us all very personally because of these apps. Now, here's a nuance I want you guys to think about. Before these apps dropped, all of this information, this hearsay, this, blah, 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 all of this bullshit happened at the cafeteria, at the cafe, well, at least in my villages. It always happened at the coffee place. It was Smokies in Palmerston. It was in Mount Forest. It was a donut shop at the Lights that's now a Chinese place. Every town had one of these places, and every kid in high school had an idea that they were going to get out of the small town because that's all of that the old people did. They went to these establishments and they just complained, and that's it. And it was fine because it was just these people in their establishments complaining. Now, oh, we shut and recently even shutting people down, banning them for sharing their opinions that they would normally be able to share around a campfire or that they would normally be able to share around a table. Oh, the bars too. The bars were a big thing. Sorry, if you had your alcoholic parents, they were at the bars. They were at the Queen's Tavern. They were at the Palmer. They were at the Stray Cat. They were at those places. But if they weren't alcoholics and they had friends, like this is the way that we were transferring information legitimately. And we had a lot of conspiracy theory, but that was the way it was done, and it was okay. But then we got to a point where all of that stuff was censored, and the censorship eventually just got so bad that we're taking it and we're turning it, and we're turning it really quick. Now here is the thing about the czars. These czars absolutely wield power because they wield power over the people, especially if they wield power over what the people can see, can say, what they see, etc. For example, who makes the definition of a word? The dictionary, right? Okay, yeah. When we're talking law, then the dictionary, particular dictionaries, depending on what country. But the language changes. We as individuals can change the language as long as enough of us agree that that's what we need to do. And then that's the way it goes. So the word color in Canada was changed, no, in the USA was changed to be COLOR because you don't need the damn U in there. And every time that you did an advertisement, you had to pay by the letter. So who the frick needs those frickin'? The English language is 3 languages in a trench coat acting like a true language. Let's face it, I have no respect for the English language because of this. Frick, don't even get me started on that. But anyways, definitions have changed over time. Okay, so for example, law definitions have changed over time based off people's interpretation of the English language. So laws have absolutely changed just because people's interpretation of the language changes. And wow, hey, that's legitimately a thing. That's like trying to keep ahead on YouTube, going for their terms of service and their policies as creators for 1 month, and then like the next year they just change it like that, and everything that you've done is like, why? Everything's changed retroactively now. But seriously, anyways, as long as these individuals, these czars, have all of this power, they have the availability to change everything. So, for example, the czar of TikTok has changed things so that, like, legitimately, because of TikTok now, within 2025, try me on this. It is impossible for any man to tell any woman that she is overly emotional. If you in 2025, well, definitely in 2024, if you ever told any woman that they were being emotional, overly emotional, or that they need to calm down, you never tell a woman they need to chill out. That's like poking a bear directly, and you're just don't ever do it. Don't ever do it. Anyways, if you ever say any of these things to a woman, you are immediately narcissistic. And I can absolutely say that because I've been dating therapists and social workers recently, and I've noticed that as soon as I told them in situations where they were clearly triggered and having a response to trauma from their past, there's another word for that, everyone's a goddamn therapist because of TikTok. Like, everybody knows what a covert narcissist is, but nobody can tell you what level of therapists can tell you. Nobody knows what different levels of therapists are. Everyone will be able to tell you what narcissists do. Nobody will be able to tell you what narcissism overlaps with and what things it shares stuff with. Legitimately, we have issues with relationships going to shit because of TikTok. And this information has actually made its way into the therapist sphere, where some of this stuff has become secondary canon, like legend canon. We can say apocrypha. If okay, so if you're Christian religion, let's say apocrypha, right? Or if you are into Star Wars, let's say legend canon. Okay, so our therapists legitimately have legend canon in their head about domestic violence and abuse information that comes from TikTok, that comes from people who are not learned, who are not experienced, and who are not educated. And that absolutely blows me away. That absolutely blows me away. TikTok took away so much from us. This czar took away so much from us because this czar itself has generational trauma because of the stuff that the West did to them. And the West absolutely did it to them. Might not have been Canada, might not have been America, but it was the same color people and it was the same thread, basically. And at the end of the day, China only cares about China. The way Canada and America should legitimately more care about ourselves. Now, all of these social media apps have us bleeding from our hearts, but not considering at all the level of resources that we have. Everyone's in this like doom spending, everything's gonna be okay thing, when things aren't getting any easier, and everyone's who's in the know about money is kind of stepping back. We're not going to talk about that though. We're talking about the czars. Yeah, sorry. Let's talk Elon Musk. Elon Musk in South Africa. South Africa is fucked. There are issues that the Africans are directly responsible for. Sorry. I meant to say this. There are issues the Africans are directly responsible for that have nothing to do with the colonialist powers. There are absolutely some places in Africa that would do better with the colonialist powers if we were to talk about infrastructure, but not freedom. And freedom is very important. Freedom's absolutely important. But one thing I'm definitely getting sick of that all of these social media apps push, I am so sick of it, is that all of the world's trauma is from the colonists. And if you want to say any different, you'll upset someone. And if you upset someone, we will kick you out of our little rooms. But here's the thing, we're starting to have conversations about children's safety. And that's a very important thing. That's a very important thing. So these days, we have the ability to talk about this stuff. We have the ability to talk about it. But a lot of it we don't want to touch. We're scared of talking about it because we'll offend someone. Well, you know what? I'm less worried about offending someone, and I am more worried about keeping my children safe. Even in the eyes of education. Look up John Money. John Money is an issue that I'm forever going to hold social media partially responsible for. In this, I'm gonna leave you with this one. In this new day and age, where we are what we are, we do have incorrect information being spread by both sides, and it's okay to say that. And we're at a time where we're not really allowed to say that both sides have issues. We're only allowed to say that the people on the right have the issues. We have this idea that the further right you go, the better, the more hell things are. And then if you go as far left as you can, then it's awesome and it's perfect. No, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. This is control and order on the right, and this is chaos and anarchy on the left. You got that? That's as far as you, if you go as far as you can go. That's what those things are. Now here's the thing that really bothers me. Why do so few people know what left and right are? Like no, like legitimately. For people arguing about politics these days, ask them if they can tell their right from their left. Like, I don't know a Democrat or a Republican, or I don't have any idea why the hell you guys go with those names. But seriously, do you know your right from your left? And seriously, fucked up shit happens in South Africa to white people that don't deserve it. Things that you just wouldn't understand. So, wow. I mean, like legitimately, like legitimately. You meet some people that have seen some shit, and you meet some people that ain't seen shit. Okay, so if you're Donald Trump and you're going around in New York, eventually you're going to have to step over a dead body the same way everyone else does, right? There's some stuff you just see you can't avoid. It's New York, guys. It's New York. And Elon Musk, though he came from South Africa, he probably has a good friend that's been. And I'm not going any further, but legit, check out the issues that happen in South Africa. Oh man, that's a but apartheid. Whoa, whoa, whoa. But I think anyone that's looking at it objectively could say that within South Africa and all of Africa, if the whites were perfect, there would still be issues. If the whites came in and did everything perfectly, there would still be issues. Before the whites got there, they had the the Zulus, the Zulu Wars, man. I'm not talking about English versus Zulu. Look up the Zulu. The Zulu, because man, the guy that ended up taking over and having that group, he was something else, man. He was something else. It's like he got so nuts that it was like every calf that was born, they would either kill the calf or they would kill the mom because his mom died or something crazy like that. But legitimately, Legitimately, these czars come from different places that a lot of us can't even imagine. TikTok comes from a hive mind that's interested in the destruction of the West. And if you don't believe that, then just go sip your Kool-Aid, okay? And Elon comes from South Africa, rich South Africa, but South Africa. And the lizard person, the Facebook guy, Zucks, he, he it's pretty clear that that guy is a shape-shifting lizard person that comes from the Andromeda constellation that looks like a star to us, but is actually a constellation. And he came from over there, and he himself has a parasite on him that is an extra dimensional creature that loves it when we're all afraid. But that's the long version of what our social media czars are, who they are, why they're important, why they can mess with stuff, why we need to know about them, and why we need to keep an eye on them. But more importantly, guys, we got to keep an eye on each other. Stop, look, and listen. I really hope that everything's going good for you guys out there, wherever you are, whatever you're dealing with. I hope that you have a safe place. I hope you have love in your heart. I hope things are positive for you. I hope you'll be okay. I hope you'll be okay. Take care of each other, folks. Catch you later.